Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're tackling a word that honestly trips up learners and native speakers alike all the time. I'm talking about the super versatile, surprisingly complex word hang. It's one of those deceptively simple verbs that totally shapeshifts depending on what you pair it with. Let's get right into demystifying hang from literal to idiom.
Have you been using the word hang wrong in English? Well, you might think you've got it down, but I can almost guarantee there's a layer to this word you've been misusing or maybe just completely misunderstanding. So let's peel back the layers together and truly figure out how this word operates out in the wild in everyday conversation.
Section 1. Keeping it literal. Let's start here to build our foundation.
We've got things like hang a picture, hang clothes, hang curtains, or hang decorations. Right, these are your super straightforward physical actions. We're literally suspending an object from a higher point, putting a framed photo on the wall, hanging a shirt in the closet. It's totally tangible. You can see it, you can touch it. But hey, as we know with English, things pretty much never stay literal for very long.
Which brings us to Section 2, tricky phrasal verbs.
It's wild how adding a tiny, seemingly insignificant preposition can just totally hijack the base word. Compare hang up with hang on. You hear hang up, and you might immediately picture putting a winter jacket away on a hook. But in spoken English, it actually means to abruptly end a phone call. And on the flip side, hang on just means to wait a second. Literally, two different prepositions and boom, two entirely different conversational directions.
This perfectly illustrates how easily a native speaker might throw both contrasting phrasal verbs into the exact same breath. Like, I have to hang up now, but hang on, I'll call you right back. It goes by so fast, and man, it can be incredibly confusing if you aren't listening for it. But getting the hang of this makes you sound so incredibly natural.
All right, now let's compare hang out with hang around. The absolute crucial differentiator here is intent. You happily hang out with your friends, right? You relax, socialize, have a good time. But you impatiently hang around a waiting room or maybe a street corner with absolutely nothing to do. It basically implies loitering.
Take a listen to this. We usually hang out at the park rather than just hanging around the house. If you're learning the language and mistakenly say you're hanging around with your friends, it kind of sounds like you're totally bored and aimless, wishing you were literally anywhere else. And that is exactly why mastering this specific difference is so vital. You want to make sure you're sending the right message.
The contrast gets even more fascinating when we look at hang in there versus hang back. Hang in there is an incredibly common, super encouraging phrase. You use it to tell someone not to give up when things get really tough. Hang back, on the other hand, means you're hesitating or maybe physically staying behind the rest of the group because you're feeling unsure or a little shy.
Imagine hearing someone say, hang in there, don't hang back just because the class is difficult. Look, if you were struggling with something, a good teacher would absolutely never tell you to hang back and hide in the corner, right? They would emphatically tell you to hang in there, push forward, persevere.
Moving on to Section 3, Advanced Idioms and Expressions. Now that we've conquered those phrasal verbs, let's peel back the final layer of the onion here.
First up on our idioms list, hang in the balance. When something hangs in the balance, I really want you to visualize one of those old-fashioned metal scales just tipping back and forth. It perfectly represents a highly uncertain and critical situation where the outcome is completely up in the air. It's an incredibly tense feeling. Along those same lines, we have hang by a thread. If a situation is hanging by a thread, it is fragile, like incredibly fragile. Picture a massive heavy weight suspended up in the air, but it's supported by just a tiny fraying piece of sewing thread. One little snap and the whole shebang comes crashing down. It's such a fantastic visual to describe a really risky situation. Let's look at them in action together. The company's future was hanging in the balance, and his job hung by a thread. These idioms are an absolute game changer for dramatic storytelling. They instantly convey this emotional, precarious, real-life scenario directly to your listener, and it immediately raises the stakes of whatever you're talking about. And then we have hang heavy. I love this one because it is just wonderfully atmospheric. When time, or maybe an awkward silence, hangs heavy, it's a really descriptive, emotional way to say the atmosphere around you feels thick or slow or just incredibly burdensome. You can almost feel the physical weight of the air pressing right down on you.
And finally, get the hang of it. Honestly, this right here is what every single language learner is hoping to achieve. To get the hang of it means you've practiced enough that you finally understand how to do something naturally and effortlessly. The mechanics just fade away and your brain automatically knows what to do.
Section 4, Quick Recap.
We have covered a lot of ground today, so let's lock it all in. Step 1. Start with literal, physical actions. We started with the literal hanging of objects. Step 2. Add prepositions for tricky phrasal verbs. We navigated those confusing, preposition-filled waters, distinguishing the fun of hang out from the total boredom of hang around. And step 3. Master abstract idioms for natural fluency. We arrived at mastering those highly dramatic, abstract expressions that give your speech that natural, native-level fluency.
Section 5. Getting the hang of it. Before we wrap up this explainer, let's make sure you're actively engaging with the stuff we just went over.
Okay, here's your first challenge. Can you make a sentence with hang out? Think of a real-life sentence, right now, right where you're sitting, using hang out to describe what you personally like to do on the weekends. Go ahead and say it out loud.
Next question for you. What does get the hang of it actually mean? Ask yourself if you could clearly explain the idea of getting the hang of it to a friend who is also learning English. Because hey, if you can successfully teach it to someone else, that's how you know you truly get it.
And finally, which hang expression from today was brand new to you? Think about which of these phrases surprised you the most. I want you to drop it in the comments below, subscribe for more content, and keep practicing until you completely get the hang of it. But before you go, I'm going to leave you with this. If a simple four-letter word like hang can hold this many complex secrets, how many other everyday words are hiding a secret double life, just waiting to be discovered? Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.